The Dolphins have two tough ass backs to deal
Yeah.
with. They have a dynamic duo back there with Raheem Mostert and A
Mm-hmm.
Chain, and they use them to perfection.
Yes,
And
they do.
Dan Quinn was asked about this, and this was Dan Quinn's kind of explanation on dealing with that run game.
Yeah, I think there's a relentless nature in the way that they can attack an edge. And I think when you're going against a team that has very good speed, you really have to try to build a wall on the outside. There's all sorts of weapons that they have, but the speed that you can use a running back from out of the backfield, in motion, use them in the backfield, in empty, and bring them back in quickly on jets, that's the type of speed that you better be prepared for laterally, because if they can get a crease, then they can turn it into vertically. So I think, for us going to love our hands full knowing that we got to set edges and really do a great job of tracking the player when they're out, on an outside run to make sure that outside run stays going laterally to the sideline and not where they're able to turn it up and use all that good speed that they both have. But for years, I've been impressed by Mostert. He also has a violent nature about him. He can cut and plant, and he's just a physical finisher. So he definitely has been somebody that's had my respect for a long time.
He said it right in there. He talked about, defending those edges, and boy, do they ever attack the edges. 136 rush attempts off the edges, and they're averaging over 5 yards per carry, and they got 10 touchdowns out there. Just to kind of give you a reference, they've got almost 50 more attempts on the edges than the Cowboys do. So that's a couple games worth, half a season.
Styles make fights too, man. Styles make fights, because we were just talking about the fact that the secondary, they want you in cover one, and we play cover one, but they want to run the edges, and we just so happen to be a team that struggles with stopping runs to the edges. So the style in this game, is not, doesn't look like it's tilted in our favor. But the good thing is, if you look at this game and the way they like to play, if we can come out there, they'll show me something. If we can come out there and stop Miami's offense, or change some things that surprise them, I will be highly impressed.
Yeah,
and I will feel a lot more confident going into the playoffs. So you're right about the confidence factor going into the playoffs and actually playing this game on the road as well. This being a big game, but also from just a defensive perspective, if we're able to show some new wrinkle that creates some confusion for this team, I'd be impressed and surprised.
I love that. I love that thought, because I don't know that we've really seen like, oh man, this was different. This was new. I don't think we've seen that yet. And I think sometimes you do have to throw a certain team a curveball. And in this one specifically, talking about the ground game, one of the things I noticed, you look at their offensive lines, kind of similar when I look at San Fran's, you don't see a bunch of Pro Bowlers, right? But one thing that they do really good, at least in the games I watch, is, man, they get to that second level and they can get out in space, and they know how to stick to these linebackers. And what did we just talk about with our linebackers? Our linebackers in this last game, they really couldn't, figure it out at the second level. Miami, they'll do these. I don't even know how to explain it, bro. They have these weird kind of like yo-yo wind back type of where they'll motion the running back, right? Motion them this way, and then at the snap, it's a counter. At the same damn time, they got a linebacker or a tight end kind of doing a little whoop-de-doo circle thing, and he's now pulling, and then the center's put. It's crazy. It's a bunch of craziness.
Like they do loop traps. I call it like a loop trap. They're not coming across the line with a trap. They're going on an angle. So it's like he comes back across the quarterback on a 45-degree angle and traps the end. Or sometimes they'll do it. I never seen that before too. It's on the film, but they'll do it and they'll try to trap block the nose tackle. I'm like, with a fullback or with the tight end. I'm like, I never saw that. So they'll create like motion, and they'll do a yo-yo motion, and then that tight end now is the lead blocker going up the middle of the field, but it's like all off of a motion. I'm like, you can't anticipate. There's no way you can anticipate what they're doing. Even if you watch the film, you study their film, everything looks, some of the things look the same. So sometimes that tight end is hitting the edge and trapping the edge. Yeah. Sometimes he's lead blocking. Sometimes he's staying front side where he motioned to. You don't know what he's doing, so you can't just watch the film and say, "Oh, this motion is going to be that." You can't tell.